grab some. Where is my ink pot? Oh, there you are. Okay. Hello? Hello? Can you see me? Say something. Okay, I don't know if this is working or not. Okay, so, well, viewer is hidden, okay? I don't know if you can see me or not, so I'm just gonna tell you. Okay, so here's dip pen. Dip pen goes in ink. Have a little pot. And you can go for a good long while. And there I'm running out of ink. And then I have to dip again. One of the things about nibs is when they come from the factory, they're all nice and shiny. Okay, they're all nice and shiny. And so you need to have a lighter or boiling water in order to clean it. And you don't want to hold it underneath there. There's a light coating of oil to keep it from rusting. So what you do is you put it in your fingers, because you'll know that if it's too hot for your fingers, it's too hot for the nib. So you just 1-y and a 2-y and a, and wait, and then 1-y and a 2-y and then take some bog roll, put your tongue out, spit in the bog roll, and then wipe the nib from the underside off and wipe the top off, and you will see the difference between this side and this side. You will see that the metal is now exposed and it should be ready to receive ink. So do I have a non used one? No, I don't. Crap. So if it's prepared, it'll stick to the bottom of the nib. It'll hold on to that dollop real good. See, it'll coat the bottom of that nib, and then you can use it for a good long time. If it doesn't hold, that means that it's still got a coating on it. And it'll look like this. You'll see that down here at the bottom, I've dipped it, clearly dipping it, but it's not going down to the end of the nib. So it requires a little bit of finagling to get the ink to go down to the bottom of that nib, because it's gonna have the protective coating on there for when it's in dry, safe conditions, so that way it'll last a long time. Okay, but a fountain pen, plus it's what the metal of this is different from, say, this from a fountain pen nib. This is made of stainless steel, which means that it does not react with water. It doesn't rust. But this is made of something called spring steel. And if you know anything about steel, it rusts. Stainless steel does not rust, and spring steel does rust. So, and requires redipping a lot. Redipping. And like I said, you can go for a good long while. But you eventually run out of ink. You don't have that with a fountain pen. You fill the ink barrel all the way up, or the cartridge, or whatever you're using, and then you can write for whole pages. Multiple pages. Probably even like maybe 10 fives of pages. And you could just continue writing and writing as long as the ink lasts. And this is because my hand oils touch the page. That's why it's not coming down. But probably also because I'm going too fast. So you can continue to write with a fountain pen. Hi, Wumble Bumblebee. Hi, I had a bit of charging. Oh, yes. So the difference between dip nibs and steel nibs is one is made of spring steel and the other made of stainless steel. Stainless steel doesn't rust, but spring steel does rust. So eventually, over about the course of about a month of constant use from a dip pen nib, will need to be replaced. And they're, after a little while, they kind of outweigh their cost. So a dip pen like this cost me like $8. But each of these nibs cost me about $2.50. That might seem like a great deal. $10 pen? That's a great deal for now. But after a month, you're going to need to pay another $2.50. So, over the very long haul, the fountain pen is the way to go. Because you pay one price, and you can basically use this until you're dead. And I mean that quite literally. Because I don't have it here. What did I do with it? I have pens that are 100 years old. Fancy pens, what did I do with you? fancy Waterman box. Oops, wrong way. Nope, that's not the one. I don't know what I did with my expensive pens. They've been misplaced. Here. No. In here. No. Okay, so where did you go? Okay, well, whatever. Y'all just have to take my word for it. I've got expensive pens that are 100 years old. This is a pen. This is a pen from Victoria. This is a gold dip pen from Victorian times. That's Queen Victoria. And that is, I don't know, 1,800 years old. And it also flexes and writes. Damn it, I need to have this one re-tipped. I have another one, it's an itty bitty baby one. Clearly I'm using the wrong type of ink with this. I'm frustrated. And gold dip nibs don't rust. Except they're rather expensive. So, grain of salt. I need to have this one worked on. Anyway, so that's just a little sample. Different types of pens that you can have. The Nib Creeper, the one that I showed you online, I'm sorry, the Noodler Standard pen. This one here is a smaller version of the Noodler's Conrad. This one here. But they use different size nibs, as you can see. This one also has a different, I put a different type of nib on it. What will I do with my brand new pen? This is how they come. So it's an exact replica, but bigger. The Conrad is bigger. The Standard is a flex pen, but it's very stiff. Like you can't feel, but that's really stiff. And the Conrad is a flex pen, but it's also very, very stiff. Where the fountain pen revolution ultra flex nib. Move this out of my way. I don't have to, it's a flex pen, but I don't have to put that much pressure to get the same amount of flex. This is as close to Victorian flex as I have in my stash. And all of my Noodler's pens have the Ultra Flex nib on them. All of them. I have like 5 of them now. Ultra Flex nib. Ultra Flex nib. Ultra Flex nib. Ultra Flex nib. This one will soon have an Ultra Flex nib. Wahahaha. I gotta tell you, I'm really happy. The one great part about this Conrad, though, is if you don't want to flex it, it makes a great everyday pen. Makes a great everyday pen for extra fine writing. Unless you have a heavy hand. Now I haven't inked this because I'm going to wash it out and use it in next week's currently inked. But you get the idea. That's a lot of pressure. And this one's a new pen, so it's a lot of pressure. Sometimes the more that you use them, the more that you flex them out, you know, they kind of get used to being flexed out, and then they're slightly easier to flex, but they still take a lot of pressure. Dip pens, however, take probably the least amount of pressure, depending on the nib. This is a Hunt 56. It's probably one of the stiffest nibs that I have. That's why I can go like this. If I used a different nib with this, couldn't do that. I mean, this one still flexes real good, but not as easy. I bought my fountain pen so I don't press it. That's good. And not having to press makes things a lot easier. The Fountain Pen Revolution Ultra Flex nib really alleviates the pressure of having to push down as you're writing. Also, that's one of the reasons that I find that calligraphy is so easy for me, because I found the trick. I spent lots of money on this pen, and it works good. And the flex is really nice. See, if I were to try and do that with this pen, this is a new Noodler's Flex nib. You don't get that massive flex. I mean, there's a little bit there, but in order to flex it out like that, I have to push really, really hard. I break my pen. That's a really big, really hefty press. And I gotta really plan it out, because makes really great hairlines, but you really gotta press. I don't like it. I don't like pressing that hard on my pens. But if you want to take everyday notes, works great. And you can get like the tiniest little bit of line variation, but not quite enough of the Ultraflex nib. Anyway, well, I think that I've rambled on long enough. I mean, you can get a Noodler's standard pen, maybe see how you like it. This one also, you can get a little bit of flex out of it. Right when you first get it, it's very stiff. This one actually has a little more flex than the other one because I've had it longer. It's another one where you gotta plan those swells out real good. You're so welcome. I hope that that was helpful. I mean, and like dip nibs, there's like 1,000 of those too. Some dip nibs, you know, they look kind of like a fountain pen nib. Others look like they have a little trident in the middle, and they're super flexible. Of course, these ones are broad edge nibs. They don't flex at all. And some of them are more rounded than others. That one's kind of roundish. It's more smoother than, say, one of these nibs. Super sharp. And then this one's called a blue pumpkin. And it's probably either the most liked or the least liked of them all, depending on what type of ink you use, because the area to put ink on the end of it is so small because it won't stick to the roundness of it is too big. Yeah, me too. That's why I got fountain pens. and like having to do the ink test with the dip pen every day, it's kind of annoying because then you have to clean the nib after you're done with it, like immediately after you're done with it, because if you leave the water on the nib, it will rust overnight, and then it will be unusable by the next day. Super annoying. So, I mean, if you're thinking about getting a fountain pen, I'd get a fountain pen. Get the Noodler standard pen. Use it for a little while. Let me know what you think. Or bite the bullet and get a Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya. The Himalayas are beautiful. I mean, they are drop dead gorgeous. I have like a few of them. I've got all of the flavors of the Himalaya, and they have gorgeous resins. And they're kind of expensive, but I mean, you really get what you pay for. And they're like slightly finicky, but like, fountain pens are just finicky. And if you like tinkering with things a little bit, like the filling action of it, this one has like a proprietary cartridge converter. You stick it in the ink, fill it like so, and then you're good to write for a good chunk of time. Here, I'll send you the link for Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya. Do. Copy. Paste. Yeah, check out that site. And right now they're doing if you add, oh God, what is it? It's like thanks 15, you get a chunk off at checkout. The other thing with nibs is sometimes they go down the drain, and that's not cute. It goes for fountain pens too. You gotta get one of your little guards to keep it from going down the drain, because that's expensive. You're most welcome. I hope that was educational for you. Anyway, I'm going to bed. It's been a very long day. So, I won't give you my spiel because this is just between me and you. It's unlisted, so. Have a great night. Okay, love you, bye. Okay, good night.